Welcome back to another episode of the Legionnaire Podcast. I'm your co-host, Will, and I'm joined yet again by my brother and my co-host, Callahan.
Greetings. You say it as like someone new is going to be like, I'm joined by people like, oh, I wonder who's going to be joined by. No, well, it's still me.
Hey, I mean, one of these days maybe we'll get like a guest on, or maybe a new co-host if one of us is unable to record one day.
Yeah, except like you're the audio genius, and I'm just here.
It's all in my brain. Nah, I can share the information with you and everything, but who knows? We got plans in motion.
Yeah, we have plans, but
I have a plan. What percent? 12%. It's Guardians of the Galaxy.
I was gonna say, it's like that sounds like some Peter Quill.
Yeah. I don't know why I remember that, but for some reason I do.
Yeah.
But all right, so we talked about the Zack Snyder's Justice League on Tuesday, and I completely forgot to talk about one of the bigger things that had happened recently, but AT&T bought Warner Media. And I don't know if you know this,
like a
but
cell company?
Yeah, like the cell company.
Okay, real question. So who still uses AT&T besides like grandma and grandpa? I think they are the only people I know who use AT&T.
Yeah, I feel like in the order of cell service, it goes Verizon, Sprint, AT&T, and then like T-Mobile.
Well, there's US. Well, T-Mobile merged with Sprint, and US Cellular is somewhere, but I've never.
No idea. Yeah,
I've never met anybody who using US Cellular. Sorry if you use US Cellular or AT&T. We're kind of dumping on them right now, but like.
Yeah, I mean, we use Sprint and our coverage is always spotty, so no cell coverage is perfect.
No, especially if you're Sprint.
Cell coverage companies listening to this right now are like,
nah. Please sponsor us. We're sorry. I will rescind anything I said about your cell company if you sponsor us.
Yeah, if we did get a sponsor from
AT&T is great. US Cellular is the greatest thing you can ever buy. Regardless. Sorry. So, okay. AT&T has the money somehow to buy.
Yeah, so they bought Discovery. Yeah, they bought Discovery and Warner Media, and they were a big fan of Zack Snyder's Justice League, and like they've been vocal. I think maybe on their Twitter page, but they've been vocal about like directors having like their creative vision and everything. So it leads me to question then, could the Snyderverse actually be restored, or at least part of it be restored?
I don't know. Cause like, dude, that dude put up with so much crap, like with the studio. And the thing is, like yeah, the studio like, because right now what like Zack Snyder said he doesn't even want to do it. He's like at this point I don't even want to like continue it. Like it's cool and all, but like I hate dealing with the studio. And like from what it sounds, so like, okay, so AT&T is like, I guess, a parent company which wants them to do it, which so they have to do it, but like he's still working with the same studio, and I don't think he wants to work with Warner Brothers anymore, because right now he's got like a deal with Netflix running, because he's put out Army of the Dead, and he's got like another like movie coming out with. I was doing some Zack Snyder research because I love Zack Snyder. He's such a cool guy, but like apparently he's got like another like Army of the Dead prequel series coming out on Netflix. Like he's like full up with Netflix stuff right now.
Yeah, he's got an anime series of like Army of the Dead that's like a prequel to it. And then he also has like, I want to say it's King Arthur. He's like a King Arthur movie that he's making as well.
Wasn't there one already made?
There might have been, but I think he's doing like a twist on it, which I'm not surprised. He usually adds his own twist to things. He did with Watchmen. Yeah. And he's sort of doing it with Justice League as well. But I don't know, because I think management might change at Warner Media to where it might be more in Zach's favor, because I mean, he's talked about like how he's on the fence with if he gets offered to make 2 and 3 Justice League 2 and 3, because if he gets offered to like make movies, I can't imagine that they would offer him more than Justice League 2 and 3.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like if he can get Ben Affleck back, I think he'd do it.
I think if he gets the two main people is Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck,
I think
because
Henry Cavill would do it. I think Ben Affleck's gonna be the one. I think Bennett because then Ben Affleck was like, dude, he hated Batman after he was done with the role. He's like, I hated that, but like, or maybe he didn't. Maybe I'm making this up,
no,
but like,
yeah, no. So he hated it after Justice League, after Joss Whedon's Justice League, because of what they made Batman in that movie, and they made him completely laughable as a character.
okay, yeah,
So
because
he
didn't he say he had a lot of fun like refilming scenes with Zack Snyder in his driveway?
No, yeah, he's talked about how this movie, Zack Snyder's Justice League, like rejuvenated his love for Batman and how he loves working with Zack. So I view it as the other way. I feel like Ben Affleck would automatically be on board, but I feel like Henry Cavill is the one who was kind of like because I don't think he was one of the main actors on the Justice League to like tweet out release the Snyder Cut, because I don't remember who the first one is. It might have been Ray Fisher, and then I think it might have been Ben Affleck, and then Gal Gadot, and then I don't know what Ezra Miller did, but then I think Henry Cavill was like one of like the last ones like tweeted out.
Ezra Miller was punching people in the Target. You saw that video of Ezra Miller fighting that. I think it was a woman because Ezra Miller is I want to use their pronouns. I think Ezra Miller's changed their pronouns to they them. I
You can
could
just use
be
they them. Just use
yeah.
they.
I'm just gonna use they
That's the
and them because I
safest
don't know.
one.
It's the safest way to go. Because I think, and then they like started fighting this lady in like a department store.
Yeah, I think I read that.
Have you seen that video? Like she like walks up to Ezra Miller and is like, "Fight me," and he's like, then he's like choking her and punching her in a department store, and everybody's like, "What is going on right now?"
Yeah, I think I've seen something with Ezra doing that, but I loved him in this movie, so I'm just I mean, Ben Affleck was an alcoholic and look at him now. So I mean, people change.
Yeah, but because I've never heard because Zack Snyder, obviously he's a very polarizing director. People either like audiences I like love his movies and critics like love to hate his movies. But I have never seen like anything online of an actor saying like they don't like. I think they all like working with Ben Affleck. I've never seen an actor say a negative thing about work. Or wait, not Ben Affleck. Zack Snyder. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
I've never seen an actor say they don't like working with Zack Snyder, which is like really cool to see because like I was watching a video on YouTube the other night before bed of like Zach breaking down or it was like the Wired asks, you know how like Wired has
Yeah,
like
I've seen that where the Google where like they
uh-huh.
yeah, he pulls the questions back.
Dude, you know Zack Snyder's a Green Bay Packers fan?
I did.
Oh my god, I'm like how can I love a guy even more? He's like, yeah, I grew up in Green Bay. It was like I was born in Green Bay, and then he was raised on the East Coast. It's like I'm a huge Packers fan. I was like, maybe Zack Snyder can get Aaron Rodgers to stay.
Yeah. No, I don't know though. I honestly think that if AT&T sort of changes um the management at Warner Media, I do think that he might get an offer to make the last two Justice League movies, because his
I
plan
hope
was
so.
always to have three. I like people like, oh, we want the whole Snyderverse story. We want the Ben Affleck Batman movie. We want the Henry Cavill Man of Steel 2 movie. We want this. I'm like, I was like, I don't know if all of that's gonna happen. Like it'd be
No.
tough for that to happen. I could see them just like finishing up Justice League 2 and 3 and like putting it in its own pocket in the DC universe, and then just like it's fulfilled. Because I mean, yeah, it'd be cool to get those movies to like sort of add more character development. But honestly, if I'm AT&T and HBO Max, like just let him make another 5-hour movie.
And put it on HBO Max. Exactly. Like what cuz like DC is trying and like Warner Brothers is trying too hard to follow MCU like everything in one universe. Like you already have a separate like Joker universe. Like
Yeah, the
start
DC.
using like different like just like leave stuff where it wants to be and like people can figure out what they want to watch. Like, oh, I like Zack Snyder movies. So that's another Zack Snyder thing. So I'm going to watch that. And it's like, oh, that's like you have HBO Max. Like just start putting stuff on that cuz we're going to talk about our most anticipated Star Wars show coming to Disney Plus later in this episode. It's like you have a whole streaming service. Like utilize it.
Yeah, the DC multiverse. both the Marvel multiverse and the DC multiverse make like zero sense, but the DC one makes more sense to me
Mm-hmm.
because like of like, well, at least the New 52 did. I don't know what the hell they did with Rebirth, or if they did anything after Rebirth, but I don't get why they just don't like create their movies in like their own pocket, because we talked about it in an earlier one with Black Superman maybe being on Earth 2, and Robert Pattinson's Batman being on Earth 2 is confirmed, so it's just like I don't know.
Yeah, it's always, it never ends well. Like when people say everything's gonna be connected right away before like setting up a good ground story.
Yeah,
You know.
I don't know. I hope that he gets offered Justice League 2 and 3. I honestly think that's probably what happened. And I could see AT&T and Warner Media and HBO Max just being like, you can make like a 4 or 5 hour movie again, because if it's a good movie and like things are actually explained to their, if he's able to explain things like its full potential and like what he actually had intended, I'd be like, okay, this is fine. Then I don't feel like I'm getting shortchanged or I'm missing out on any elements, because the only thing that we really missed from Zack Snyder's Justice League was Green Lantern. But I mean, they swapped it out with Martian Manhunter, so it was like sort of potato tomato. But
Did you really just do potato tomato?
yeah, Caleb says it all the time, so now I start saying
Good God.
it. Yeah,
But yeah,
but
I agree with you.
but yeah, that's some of the news with the Warner Media. I meant to talk about it on Tuesday, but we'll talk about it today just briefly.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to share the other big news, or you said it was old news, but
Yeah, I saw on Instagram because well, Dave Filoni has been like, his position on StarWars.com or Lucasfilm wherever has been updated to executive producer, creative director of all things Star Wars, which is Will and I openly profess our love for Dave Filoni, as do most hardcore Star Wars fans. So if you don't know who Dave Filoni is basically like the heir apparent to George Lucas.
yeah.
So like he's been working with George Lucas for he started I think after Revenge of the Sith, because I remember an
Mm-hmm.
interview of him like he was super nerd, like he's like he loved Revenge of the Sith and he had like all of these thoughts on what the Jedi were, blah 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 blah. Like he's a really deep thinker. He's a big storyteller. Dave Filoni was I think a key producer and creator in Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is one of the a great widely acclaimed animated show. Um, he started after Revenge of the Sith, and he worked on the new Clone Wars show with George the entire time. So like he's like George like took him under his wing, and like Dave is like right he's like the god of like Star Wars media. Like he is our Kevin Feige.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but apparently like this was I saw on Instagram, so like take it with a grain of salt. It could be completely, or maybe I saw it on Reddit. I can't remember where, but like it's like someone said he was promoted like last summer and they just updated this recently, and I was like, I don't know. I feel like I mean it could be true, but like regardless, like it's cool to see because like this man is finally getting the respect he deserves.
Yeah, it's well deserved at this point,
Oh my
because
god, yeah.
he made the Clone Wars, he made Rebels, which again I wasn't the biggest fan of, but I mean people like it, and there are good episodes of Rebels, but
Mm-hmm.
he made Clone Wars, he made Rebels, he made The Mandalorian, and then all of the new Disney Plus shows he sort of like has a hand in it. So, and there's like 10 new Star Wars Disney Plus shows being made, so it's like it's hard to not give this guy credit for Star Wars success, especially with everyone being like, "Oh, Disney Star Wars sucks." It's like, well, you wouldn't be getting a lot of the things that we're getting now. Like Mando, you wouldn't be getting that without Dave.
Yep.
Bad Batch, you wouldn't be getting that without Dave. Star Wars, The Clone Wars season 7, you
Not
would not
happening.
be getting that without Dave. And another cool thing with The Clone Wars season 7 is that like, cuz George at that point wasn't working for Lucasfilm anymore because he had signed the rights over to Disney, and he sort of just like stepped away. But that was for season 7 of the Clone Wars. Seasons 1 through 6, Dave and George made together. So they were like very close in contact with one another. But when season 7 came out, I had read something saying that George still gives Dave calls after he watches the episode, like talking about what he likes and what he doesn't like. I was like, it's kind of cool that like he still like talks to him about like the show that they made together.
Yeah, it's really like a master and apprentice relationship. It's like
Yeah.
super cool to see.
But yeah, because I don't think Dave like, I think he still looks at George sort of as his mentor, and he's doesn't view himself better than him at all. So
Well, Dave's a really humble guy. Like if you see him in
yeah,
any interview, he's just like this like really nice, quiet, mild mannered guy. He's like, hey, yeah, I'm wearing
yeah,
a cowboy hat and I really like Star Wars. Let me tell you something about the mythology behind the Force and why Anakin is. Da-da-da. He's
yeah. He
God.
goes on like these beautiful, lengthy lectures about like why this character is does this and like the mythology, and he knows so much. So, but he's made such great shows and such great original characters like Captain Rex, Ahsoka, and the Bad Batch. The list goes on. But speaking of the Bad Batch, it's Friday today.
Oh yeah, I just watched this episode very recently.
Yeah, I
Horrible. When'd
I
you
watched
watch
it
it?
this morning. Yeah, I watched it this morning because I kind of forgot. I got back home and
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "Oh shoot, there's an episode of the Bad Batch." Because I was gonna take a nap,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh man!" But we're on episode. Is this 4?
4.
Episode 4.
Yeah,
It's called
4.
Cornered. I realize we should start like calling like the episode title, because if people go back and listen to this, they're gonna be like, "What episode of the Bad Batch are they talking about?"
Yeah. Cornered. Somebody's in a corner. Not really, but like, well, I guess that little pig guy was at
Yeah,
the end.
he kind of got cornered.
But I like. Did you like the episode?
Um, so this is where it gets tough because I thought it was good, but I wouldn't. I'd say it's probably my one of my lesser favorites of the Bad Batch so far.
Yeah, I agree. It's like it's a good like it's more it's like an action episode, like a
Yeah.
chase.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it. Not to say I didn't enjoy it, but I think of all of them, definitely not my favorite, but
Yeah, I'd say the second one and this one are kind of like
very yeah.
yeah, tied for like being towards the bottom, which isn't to say that like I didn't like him, because I still enjoyed it, but
What was the second one? Is that the one with cut?
cut and run, yeah.
Okay. What like what happened in the third one then?
Crosshair.
Oh yeah. Yeah, dude. The first one. It's kind of hard to come
Yeah,
back from
with a
that.
next to a 70-minute episode, it's
Yeah.
impossible to go ahead of that. But so this episode started out, I mean, it was cool with seeing the Bad Batch like trying to still cope with the Republic falling and trying to find their place in the galaxy. And we find out where they're going now. They're going to a planet, I think it's called, or it's pronounced Idaflor. I think that's how you pronounce it. But it was cool because they said that they're going to go there and just sort of set base there and not go anywhere. And Omega was like, "What? I've been on Camino my whole life, and now we're going to another planet just to spend the rest of our days there."
It's like, are you not like? Do you not realize that like the Empire hates you and like is chasing you?
Well, it's tough because I mean she's a kid, so she doesn't
Yeah.
understand that at all. And like you
I
see more of her child. I don't want to say childish in a bad way, but you see more of her like
She's a kid,
kid. Yeah, you see her. You see the difference between her being a kid and Hunter being like a
an
grown,
adult,
matured adult. Yeah. So
even though he's probably like 2 years old.
yeah, honestly, the Clone Wars lasted what, 3 years, 4 years?
Yeah, it's not a long. It was not a long war, but
No, not nearly as long as the Galactic Civil War.
no, yeah, no.
But yeah, he's got to be like 3 years old, maybe
Mm-hmm.
physically.
Exactly. But regardless, yeah. It's so Pandora that so yeah they were like they wanted to stop off at Pandora to like get supplies and yada yada yada. They had to
Mhm.
change the what did they have to change on the ship? It was the signature key because like
Yeah, they're
they
being
like
tracked
they're
by the Empire or bounty hunters or something.
not tracked but like there's like a wanted like their ship is wanted like there's like a notice out for their ship.
Hmm.
Um, okay, when they said Pantora, I was like typing something in the show notes, and like I looked, I was like, did they just say Pandora from Avatar, like the
Avatar.
Blue People movie?
Yeah, I do not like that movie.
Really? Oh,
That movie
well, we can talk about
sucks.
that later. But
I prefer it if we didn't.
it's fine. We don't have to. Because they said I thought they said Pandora, and then they said Pantora again. I'm like Pantera, like the band, and then they're like Pantora, and I'm like, oh, okay, so not the metal band and not the Blue People Planet movie.
Well, my question is, where the hell are they coming up with the names? There's like Idaflor, Pantora. Like, you guys are just pulling names out left and right. This is crazy.
Well, Dave's probably got an answer. Dave can tell us.
It probably exists in the canon somewhere, and I'm just not knowing of this. So,
did you know Christian Harloff has a planet named after him?
I did not.
Yeah, it's Harloff Minor. He's in like a book. It's in a book. It's like, yeah, Harloff Minor. I was like, oh, how about that?
That's cool. I know Obi-Wan and Jon Stewart are like Obi-Wan is from the planet like Stu John. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Wobani from Rogue One is Obi-Wan just mixed around.
Oh, yeah. Wobani.
Sorry, people are like, these guys are just running on tangents right now. It's our podcast. We can do whatever we want.
Well, the people who actually know what we're talking about are like, hell yeah.
Yeah. Shout out the real ones.
Exactly. But so we get to Pantora, and the Bad Batch has to change their signature key. It was a signature key.
Something like that, yeah. There's a quote that I want to talk about from that later, yeah.
But we then see a familiar person who's sort of looking for this wanted ship and this wanted person on the ship.
Yeah. So for those of you who've watched Mandalorian, Fennec Shand makes her reappearance in the Bad Batch. So if you don't remember who Fennec Shand is in the first season of The Mandalorian. She's in the episode in season 1 where Mando goes back to Tatooine and he meets up with super discount Han Solo. And they got to hunt her down because like they got to get the credits, blah, 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 blah. Long story short, she quote unquote dies. But then Boba Fett saves her. Spoiler alert. Sorry, you should probably know that by now. If you're listening to a podcast like this and you haven't seen The Mandalorian, I'm kind of questioning like
maybe they're watching it chronologically.
Yeah, they could be.
Because you said reappearance, but technically this is her first appearance.
No, this is not her first appearance. Her first appearance is in The Mandalorian. Chronologically, this is her first
appearance. Well, I'm saying chronologically, this is her first appearance.
Okay, well, if someone's watching the Star Wars chronologically, they're going to have to wait a long time until they get to watch episodes 4, 5, and 6.
They got 7 seasons of Clone Wars. Yeah. Probably 1 full season of Bad Batch at least. So.
Exactly. So regardless, she is, and then she's in season 2 of The Mandalorian. She's working with Boba Fett, and then they help Mando, and she'll be in the Book of Boba Fett later in December when that comes out. But yeah, so she shows up, because when the Bad Batch land on Pantora, they talk to, I swear to God, every planet, like any person lands on a Star Wars, the shipyard guy is always like ratting them out to whoever's in charge that's looking for him. Like they land and they're like, oh yeah, don't run our signature keys. Like, okay. They hand him some credits because Wrecker's like, Wrecker is like, because you and I both, when he first appeared in season 7 of the Clone Wars, you and I were both like, I can't stand Wrecker. He's stupid. He's annoying, but he has really he has really grown on me. He's really funny now. Like I think they like established like what his humor should be and like how he should be used, because like, so they land in this like docking bay, and the docking bay attendant guy comes out, and Wrecker's like, hey, don't run our signature key, or I'll, like, he's like threatening the guy, and the guy's like, oh, maybe I won't. And he's like, really? Awesome. And then like Wrecker just turns around to walk away. And the guy's like, he's like, well, I might, maybe if you persuade me. And Wrecker turns around, he's like, what? Text like, I think he's trying. And then like the guy's like, if only you had something for me. And then Wrecker turns to Tech. He's like, I think he wants us to give him money.
Yeah, I love Wrecker. He's so funny at this point. Like, he was dumb kind of in season 7 of the Clone Wars. I was like, but he's so funny now. Like, I actually enjoy him. He hit his head. Actually, this might be a little early to talk about, but he hit his head again this episode.
His inhibitor chip's gonna go off.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit when his head gets hit. But
yeah, we're still trying to explain why Fennec Shand's in the episode.
Yeah, but we'll get. Yeah, she just has a bounty on Omega.
Yeah,
but it's interesting because when she first finds Omega, like with Hunter, and they're going off to get supplies while they're on Pantora. She gets separated from Hunter because she's doing kid stuff and sees like this animal, and she's
She's never
messing
seen
around
an
with her.
animal
Some
before, so she wanted to
yeah,
go pet the dog.
she's never seen any of these things like from the planet. So of course she's gonna be surprised to like see it and try and understand it better. But so she gets separated from Hunter, and then she spends some time with Fennec because Fennec is like, "Oh, are you lost?" And Fennec was like being weirdly nice to her, which I was like, "Hmm." Usually bounty hunters aren't this nice to like
Well, it's like
the people.
child abduction. This is I was watching like this is like legitimately like we are watching child abduction in front of our eyes.
Yeah, I I knew that like she was just trying to use Omega to get the bounty, and she was just trying to sort of lower her guard a little bit, which she had already done fairly well. But then
Mhm.
Hunter finally realizes Omega is gone. I need to find her. And
Yeah,
then, I mean, obviously, Omega would trust Hunter more than some random lady that she doesn't know is a bounty hunter, but she
stranger
figured it out.
danger. Nobody taught Omega stranger danger.
Yeah, honestly. But we also see we see Echo sort of play like a robot sort of this episode.
Yeah, he plays a droid. He's like they go because they have to go into town to get supplies, and they're trying to sell. They're trying to sell one of their bombs to this guy who's got like he's in like they're in like an antique store, and Hunter's like, "You should really buy this bomb. It's really good." The guy's like, "This is not a black market arms store." And it's like, and then he's like, "Well, I'll give you money for that droid." And Echo's like, "Hey, wait a minute." He's like, and Hunter's like, we need the money. You can just leave later. We'll give you the signal, and then you can just leave." He's like, "Okay, but I am worth way more than 2,000 credits."
Yeah, because he offers him 2,000 credits for Echo, and he's like, "I am worth at least 4,000." And the guy's like, "I'll buy him for 3,000." And
That
they
was
pawn him off.
so funny. He's just like, he's like, God dang it.
I was like, "Damn, Echo's probably just punching the air right now. He's got sold for 3,000 credits."
Punch in the air with his screwdriver.
Yeah, honestly. But it was just cool seeing how he's. They had mentioned in the first episode how that Echo is more machine now than man. So I was like, "Oh, that's kind of cool," showing him being like a robot, sort of in air quotes,
Cyborg, buddy.
cyborg. But then the Bad Batch like sort of gets engaged in combat with Fennec, and this is what we were talking about earlier. Wrecker is the first one to engage in combat with her after Hunter gets Omega back, and Fennec is like, "I need this bounty," so she keeps looking for Omega, and she runs into Wrecker, and they sort of like have like a very short combat scene, but Wrecker gets like hit into some pipe, and it like bonks his head, and immediately when I saw that, I was like, "Oh no, please don't tell me that his inhibitor chip is going to start acting up right now or something."
Yeah, dude is like also like one concussion away from like not being able to spell his name anymore.
Honestly, we might either be like completely wrong with this theory where his inhibitor chip will go off, or it's easy to predict.
Listen, you and I were dead on with this Luke Skywalker prediction in Mandalorian season 2. Everybody said it wasn't going to happen, and you and I from the start were like, Luke Skywalker is going to show up in the show, and it's not going to be anybody else. And everybody's like, what if it's Mace Windu? And you and I are like, you are all dumb.
Well,
Respectfully, you are all stupid if you think anybody besides Luke Skywalker is showing up. And who showed up in the end? It was Luke freaking Skywalker. So I think we are onto something with this inhibitor chip because he's like showing and he's like, oh, my head hurts, all my head hurts. And he's slamming his head into pipes in the underground maintenance tunnels. So
well, yeah, I was gonna say, do you want to talk about this Luke Skywalker thing real quick right now? Because in season 2 of the Mando, we were like,
oh yeah,
when they were trying to find a Jedi, and we knew it wasn't going to be Ahsoka because it was already halfway through the season. We're like, Ahsoka wouldn't like,
reappear. She was
yeah,
already there. We already saw Ahsoka.
yeah. So we knew it wasn't going to be her. But when Ahsoka had said to her, "Oh, put Grogu on the Seeing Stone, and someone will reach out to him," you and I are like, the most obvious choice is Luke Skywalker because he's looking for Jedi at this point in the timeline.
And he's the most powerful. He's arguably the most powerful Jedi ever. So if it's anybody besides him, it's like
Yeah,
what
he's like.
it's like.
He was trying to build a temple at that point in time and find apprentices, so it's like that would make the most sense. But for some reason, the entire Star Wars community was like, "It's Mace Windu, it's Cal Kestis, it's someone else. And I was like,
Oh,
where are we getting these theories from right now?
you, you and I had like, I swear to God, it was like every 3 days, one of us would text each other. I was like, people still really believe Luke Skywalker is not about to show up in this. Sorry, we are on like a complete left field tangent right now. I'm sorry if anybody is frustrated with this, but like, we need to get this out there. Like, we had been saying this for months because like Mando was like came over however many months, but like we were like, why is nobody saying Luke Skywalker? People said like Luke Skywalker's like, oh, they're not gonna do that. They're not gonna do that. Like, it's gonna be this like insert random Jedi we saw for like 5 seconds in some movie, and we're like,
That doesn't
what's
make
wrong with
any
everybody right
sense.
now?
I was so annoyed because people were like, it's actually going to be Cal Kestis from, he's from a video game called Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which is a great video game. But I was like, no, it's not going to be him because that would just completely ruin what's going to happen with him in the second game. And people are saying Mace Windu, and I was like, why is this not just like a unanimous thing right now? It's Luke Skywalker.
Why do people still think Mace Windu's still alive? He got barbecued and chucked out a window.
I wouldn't be surprised if he showed back up, honestly.
Oh my! Well, this is we can have this conversation at a later point.
But
everybody knows how all of the internet knows how I feel about Mace Windu now.
yeah, but so we might either be like dead wrong with this theory of Wrecker and his inhibitor chip acting up, or we're hitting the nail on the head.
I think we're hitting the nail on the head. I think we're the canary in the gold mine right now.
Yeah, but so after after Wrecker gets his head bonked and sort of gets knocked out from Fennec, Omega like ends up in this maintenance tower, which this was like my favorite line from the episode because I thought it was super funny. But so Tech is like looking through the security cameras and listening to the security tapes from the police of the planet, and they're trying to find Omega while she's running away from Fennec, and Hunter's like, do you have a location on her Tech? And Tech says to Hunter, he's like, Omega is hanging from a maintenance tower in the sky. And Hunter is immediately like, hanging? And I was just like, yeah, Tech kind of just said that with no emotion that she was hanging from the sky. And Hunter was like, I'm sorry, what?
I thought it was obvious.
Yeah, but I just thought that was like a funny little, because I mean, not to say that the other members of the Bad Batch don't care about her, but I mean, I think we see how much Hunter and her have like sort of bonded with one another.
It's like it's very very Mando Grogu vibes.
I mean, she's had a moment with Hunter, she's had a moment with Wrecker with his room, but I'm still sort of waiting to see like Echo and Tech sort of get like a good wholesome scene with her.
Yeah, I think they might. I think if anything, we're gonna see more of Hunter and Omega, just be like to build that even more. So like at the point, because I know it's gonna happen, she's gonna get taken. I mean, like she's gonna get taken at some point, or they're gonna have to like separate with her.
Yeah,
and like,
something's gonna happen where they're gonna have to get her back. So,
but there's a really cool chase scene too. It was very reminiscent of Attack of the Clones. Like the bounty, like chasing the bounty hunter. The bounty hunter was chasing. They were chasing the bounty hunter,
and then the bounty hunter was chasing them.
Yeah, exactly. And this one is reverse. Bounty hunter's chasing them. It was really cool.
Yeah, just of Fennec trying to get Omega back, and Hunter and was trying like doing these cool maneuver tricks in the alleyways with his speeder bike.
And all the speeders are making the same noises as the speeders from Attack of the Clones. I don't know if you noticed that, but like I was like listening. It's like I'm like, oh, this is because the speeder that Fennec was flying made the exact same noise as the speeder Anakin lifted from whichever parking lot he was in.
Yeah. What was the thing that Anakin flew through? Was it power cut? He didn't fly through.
Anakin, how many times have I told you? Stay away from power couplings.
Yeah, they just fly through this electric field. That would have been cool if they did that.
Dude, the funniest part about that was like she shot like the power coupling, and they had a solid like 5 seconds for them to like just fly around, and Anakin's just like
we're going
like,
through
looks
it.
at him, and Anakin's just like sitting there driving. It's like, oh my lord.
Well then. Yeah, I'll save that again to talk about for episode 2, and we'll set aside a podcast to talk about the prequels in one, the original trilogy in one, the sequels in one. But we'll save.
We're gonna laugh so hard during the prequels one because
we love the prequels, but oh man, there's some comical things. But the chase scene ends. They get away from Fennec, and they fly away with their ship. Um, they fixed the signature key. Was it
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, because my favorite line from the like with the point I like burst out laughing in my room, like you something really has to be funny for when you're watching a TV show by yourself to like audibly laugh at something. It was so Tech and Wrecker are working on the ship to like pull out the signature key to change it so like their ship can't be identified, and like because like their ship is flagged right now, so like they're opening the back part of the ship in Texas. The signature key should be below the rear parallax inverter. And while he's saying this, Wrecker's like, yeah, just tell me what I need to pull out right now. He's like, yeah, tell me what I need to rip out of the ship right now.
Yeah, I I love Wrecker. I just think he's like actually very comical now.
Yeah, he's just like he's just a big meathead. I think that he's just he's like a big cuddly meathead.
Yeah, he's so wholesome too. Like the with the whole crew of Bad Batch, but like Hunter, not Hunter, Wrecker's like the definition of like what you see is what you get, sort of.
Exactly. Yeah,
Like
he's just
like, like he's all up front. And he's just like so lovable. Like I don't know how you can't love him.
yeah.
But Fennec, then the episode ends sort of where Fennec talks on the comms to someone. She's like, I don't remember what she said, but she's like, keep your I'll find them. So I don't think we saw the end of Fennec, because it sounds like she's going to keep looking for Omega and keep looking for the signature key for the ship.
You know who I think has the bounty out on Omega?
Is it the Kaminoans?
Oh, well, I guess that was pretty obvious. I thought I was going to say something and be like, oh, wow, that was really cool. And it's like, well, it's kind of obvious. It's probably the Kaminoans, because I don't think the Empire cares.
No. I mean, you know what would be cool, though, if Boba Fett showed up.
Okay, so how old is Boba Fett at this time?
He's probably,
He's
I don't,
mid-teens, early 20s.
he's probably like 18.
Dude, so is Cad Bane dead at this point in the timeline? I think he's technically dead.
I hope he isn't. I really hope he isn't.
Because he was supposed to die in like there was like storyboards, like there's a like visual made of like Boba Fett and Cad Bane in a shootout, and like Cad Bane dies, but that's how Boba Fett gets a dent in his helmet. But like they say they treat those episodes as canon, but it's like if do you think Cad Bane's gonna show up in the Bad Batch at any point?
I would love it if he did, because Cad Bane is my favorite bounty. He's
the best.
He's like top 2 bounty hunter.
It's him and Jango Fett, and like,
yeah.
Sorry, Boba Fett, you kind of suck at bounty hunting.
Well, Mando Boba Fett he's
okay, yeah,
raised himself up a lot.
But he's not bounty hunting at that point.
No, but so
as a bounty hunter, Boba Fett sucks.
No, yeah, he's drunk half the time. So, but I swear, I would be so happy if Cad Bane showed up. But another character that Dave Filoni created, he doesn't like get like a whole lot of development, but he's just such a dope, badass character, because the way his voice, yeah, and his outfit with his coat and his big cowboy western hat, it's like he kind of reminds me of like a western sheriff, sort of, just like the way it's dressed up.
He's an outlaw.
Yeah,
I don't think he's a sheriff. I think he's an outlaw.
I'll have to talk about this again on another podcast, but I had like an idea for like a cool bounty hunter storyline, but I'll
listen. I told you, we can talk about that next week when we. Well, I don't want to give it away right now. It'll ruin the surprise.
Lucasfilm, hire us. We could write stories for you,
dude. We could write some killer stories.
If any of you know how to get in contact with Dave or anyone else at Lucasfilm,
hey, if any of our 20-ish listeners know how to get us in contact or get us a job, let us know. Send us an email, legionnairepodcast@gmail.com.
Speaking of money, that was a great time to talk about our sponsor for this episode.
All right, welcome back.
Welcome back.
Our transitions into those are like, it's like, hey, this is remotely related to our sponsor, so here you go.
Yeah, I was getting complaints about it, so I thought that was a perfect time to do it. But so we just talked about one of the Disney Plus shows, Bad Batch, that's currently coming out, but there are a lot more Disney Plus shows that were announced. I think there's a total of 10, maybe. Yeah, well, so 10, but minus 1 because we're watching the Bad Batch as it's coming out right now.
Um, sorry, I'm googling. I just did a quick Google search. So Mandalorian season 3 is coming out, so that's one. The Cassian Andor show is coming out. The Obi-Wan Kenobi show is coming out. The Ahsoka show is coming out. Rangers of the New Republic probably is coming out. The Acolyte is coming out. The Lando series potentially might come out. So that's 7 confirmed.
I
Plus the Bad Batch is 8, and then
And then they had a couple
Visions.
movies,
Yeah, Visions is coming out, and then there's the Rogue Squadron movie.
which is
That's gonna be sweet.
I think that's going to be pretty dope. I'm slightly concerned about that with how Wonder Woman 82 went,
84.
but 84, is it 84? Whoops.
Yeah. I don't know. I trust Patty Jenkins because what she described it as, this is gonna be like Top Gun and Star Wars. I'm like, sign me up.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that at a later point. But I want to talk about our top 3 most anticipated Disney Plus Star Wars shows.
Yes,
but
coincidentally, you and I both have.
We knew right away before we even started writing our list. We knew that we had the same number 1 show that we were both most excited for, and given that we're going to talk about this one the most, I think it'd just be best if we knocked it out of the park right now. And that is obviously the Obi-Wan Kenobi show.
I don't know if you wanted me to say that or if you were going to say that.
No, I was going to try and pull a fast one and be like the Lando show.
No, that show's not happening.
I think it is. We'll say that for a different time to talk about.
We'll
not
talk
this
about maybe
episode.
at the end of maybe we'll talk about it later this episode after we're done talking about this. But to no surprise, Will and I are bouncing off the walls for the Obi-Wan Kenobi show.
This show, oh my lord! The show, first off, wasn't even supposed to be a show. It was supposed to be a movie.
I'm so glad it's a show because it gives us more. Like, the Snyder Cut is a perfect example. Like, people say like, oh, but Star Wars is a movie. It's a movie. It's like you can tell so much more. Like, Christian Harloff has been ranting about this for like years now. He's like, Star Wars is perfect for TV because you can tell longer stories and get better character development. Yada yada yada. It's like more Obi-Wan screen time is better. It's like, and nobody can tell me otherwise.
Well, would you rather have, because we've seen now with Mando, as it was currently right now is the most expensive show that's been produced. Lord of the Rings season 1 is taken over that role now, being like $500 million to produce season 1.
That's absurd.
But yeah, it's a crazy amount.
That's absurd.
But so you see how much money that Disney and Lucasfilm is like shelling out for these shows. If Mando was like $15 to $20 million per episode, and Obi-Wan is like the golden child of Star Wars. Like, it would be impossible to find someone who does not like the character Obi-Wan. So what would you rather have? A 6-episode series with Obi-Wan where it follows predominantly only him, because it's confirmed that this is a limited series and it's only 6 episodes, or would you rather have one movie that's 2 hours? I'd rather have a 6-episode series that's probably going to take up 6 hours of showtime instead of a 2-hour movie.
I don't know if it's going to be 6. I bet it'll be somewhere between the 30 and 45 minute range. So I think we're at least guaranteed 4. You think?
I don't agree.
You
I think it'll be at least.
Hours?
I think it'll at least be, each episode will at least be 50 minutes long. Looking at how Captain America and the Winter Soldier was, the shortest episode for that was like 52 minutes, and the first episode of that was predominantly filler and just exposition.
Yeah. You're right.
I really think that this
Mando. Yeah, I was thinking about it in terms of Mando. You're right.
Yeah. No, I think because. So the reason that I want to talk about this Obi-Wan show first also is because I got a lot of hate from some friends of mine after we did our top 10 most powerful Jedi list, and I got some hate having Obi-Wan being number 1. Everyone was like, you're dumb. So I just want to take a quick moment to talk about this and why I am not dumb for putting Obi-Wan at 1.
I thought we weren't doing power. Like, I thought we were doing like ideals of a Jedi.
Well, ideal / powers, like, sort of thing.
Okay.
Because like those sort of coincide when like you're trying to be a Jedi, because I mean you can't be powerful if like you're clouded with your judgment and everything. So
exactly.
But so I got a little lash. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I got some backlash from
You
some
got some
people.
lash.
I got some lash. But I don't know what I'm saying. But I just want to get this out of the way first. Anakin had said he had said this about Obi-Wan. He said Obi-Wan is a great mentor. He's as wise as Master Yoda and powerful as Master Windu. I'm sorry, but like if the chosen one is saying Obi-Wan is as wise as Master Yoda and as powerful as Master Windu,
Probably pretty powerful.
he's probably pretty powerful. And not to mention that Obi-Wan defeated Anakin in combat
Exactly.
in round 1. We'll get to round 2 in a bit, but round 1,
round 2 is going to be in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. In this series.
That's why I said we'll save it for later.
Sorry.
God,
I thought we were talking. I thought you said round 2 like in A New Hope. Sorry. I kind of biffed that for you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you did. But so
Sorry.
Qui-Gon had also said in The Phantom Menace to Obi-Wan, he said, "You're a much wiser man than I am, and I foresee you'll become a great Jedi Knight," which again is all true. Obi-Wan is one of the greatest Jedi Knights that we've seen in the Star Wars canon. So it's like those are 2 quotes from 2 of like the GOAT Jedis. So it's like I don't know what
is the greatest Jedi of all time.
Yeah, and yeah, that's how you view it. So I'm not gonna say you're wrong, but like I don't get how. Well, I can't argue the points you made last week about Qui-Gon being one. I can't argue with those at all because you're completely right.
Before you go on, and I know you have a really good thing to say next, the Force Center podcast with Ken Knapsack and Joseph Scrimshaw, they also said they had a podcast released yesterday, like, is Qui-Gon Jinn the greatest Jedi Knight? And I'm like, I have been, I was ahead of the curve on this one. I was like freaking. I was listening to it today, and they're like, "Yeah, we've been really thinking about this." I'm like, "Yes, everybody's on my side now." So sorry, I wanted to toot my own horn there for a second, but you go on.
You're like the Qui-Gon Jinn of podcasts.
We are the Qui-Gon Jinn of podcasts.
We are, but I just don't. Anakin saying that Obi-Wan is a great mentor and he's as wise as Master Yoda and powerful as Master Windu. Mace Windu is like one of the strongest Jedi just from like a combat perspective. The way he fights is just brute force and brute strength. Anakin has the most potential with the Force, but we don't really see him use it that wisely throughout the series. So it's like it's difficult for me to put him at number 1. But I don't get how Obi-Wan can't be number 1. But so with the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, we're gonna get a little more character development, and the show takes place 10 years after Revenge of the Sith, after he fought Anakin on Mustafar, which yet again I think there's why I think each episode will be at least 50 minutes long, because this is 10 years later and there's a lot of like development that you can do with Obi-Wan with his PTSD and everything that's happened since Revenge of the Sith.
Mustafar Vietnam flashbacks.
Honestly, it's crazy because they've like changed it a couple times. I think they said 8 years, but now I think it's officially 10 years, but it's between the 8 to 10 years.
Regardless, yeah.
It's a quite a period of time before A New Hope, and it's quite a period of time after Revenge of the Sith. It's like at the halfway point. But I feel like each episode has to be at least 50 minutes long because there's so much you can tell with Obi-Wan's character. And it's not just his character alone, because we have Hayden Christensen, Anakin Skywalker, returning as Darth Vader. It's his first. Well, I guess it's technically his second because he was in Rise of Skywalker doing a voice for Rey when she was like with all the Jedi for that one moment. But this is Hayden's return to Star Wars in a physical form, and he's playing Darth Vader. And Kathleen Kennedy had said that Obi-Wan and Vader will face again, and she called it the rematch of the century.
Okay. You and I are like some of the only like adults. Well, we're not some of the only ones, but like we've watched the Star Wars Galaxy of Adventures on YouTube. It's on the Star Wars Kids YouTube channel, so just bear with us while we talk about this. Don't completely turn us off. Think we're complete nerds. They have like Galaxy of Adventures has like just a quick like rundown on what it is. It's like it takes events from the movies and it like turns into like anime style like cartoon. They have the battle between Obi-Wan and Anakin, and it is absolute fire with this animation style. So when she says rematch of the century, I'm just thinking like this samurai showdown between
Mhm.
Obi-Wan and Vader, and they're just like going ham because now like because it's not like when it was in A New Hope where like they're clunky like
Mhm.
oh shoot, I almost knocked my microphone over, but they're like the clunky two-handed, they're like shuffling around and Vader's helmet's
Yeah.
about to fall off. And
Yeah, it's not going to be like super slow, but it's also not going to be what we got in Revenge of the Sith, where it's like we're swinging super fast, we're doing all these crazy things. It's going to be like a blend in between. I feel like because I mean Obi-Wan's aged and Vader is. I mean Anakin Vader is now like in his suit,
yeah, it'll be more
so
reserved fighting, I think.
no, yeah, but I think like you said, it'll be more of like the samurai, like sort of how his fight with Maul went, where
Yeah,
it was more like tactical and sort of mind. Yeah, it
that's
wasn't just like we're swinging at each other. It was like planned attacks.
there's gonna be some serious Dave like insights into the scene after it comes out.
Oh, 100%. But we also like one of the major reasons that this series is warranted and why I think it's going to be great is because in A New Hope, there's still so much story to tell with Obi-Wan because Vader says to Obi-Wan in A New Hope, he's like, I've been waiting for you, Obi-Wan. We meet again at last. When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master. So it's like, well, you still have room to work with this stuff because, like, yeah, in Revenge of the Sith, Obi-Wan was the master and Anakin was the learner, but it's like we still haven't seen Vader slash Anakin like take that step up to becoming the master. And as Obi-Wan says, only a master of evil, Darth. So it's like we still have yet to see this. So that fits in the timeline as well.
Yeah, and another thing quote from the original trilogies in Return of the Jedi when Luke's on Endor with Vader and they're on like the like little AT-AT platform, they're talking and he's like, Father, you can turn back to the light, I can feel it inside you, let go of your hate. And Vader says, Obi-Wan once thought as you did. When did he say that? He like the last time we saw like in the movies, Obi-Wan saw Anakin, he had cut his arm and his legs off and he watched him get cooked alive on the banks of Mustafar and he left him for dead. He didn't like try to save him. He's like, I'm here to kill you. But
Mm-hmm.
like he didn't kill he's like he probably, I mean, Anakin looked dead, but like dude had no arms, one arm, but that was a robot arm, no legs, and he would just burn to a marshmallow. So
Yeah, Obi-Wan doesn't know that he survived and became Darth Vader. So it's like he has to come to that realization that this is Anakin, but he's now Darth Vader.
and he's like, I can turn him back. Like I need to try to turn him back one time because like
Yeah.
he's obvious like it's obviously going to be eating him up the entire time. He's basically like in quarantine on Tatooine because
Yeah, well, he's only waiting. He's just there to protect Luke. So
and I feel like if he's like thinks he's like if I can turn Anakin back, then I don't need to be here to protect. Like if
yeah,
Luke's going to be safe if Anakin's turned because if
exactly.
Anakin turns, they could take down the Emperor easy peasy.
Yeah, but I mean, so now that we're talking about Luke, you want to talk about possible cameos and appearances that we think are going to happen in the Kenobi show?
Oh boy, this man just like can't get away from this podcast. But I think a big cameo that's gonna show up is Qui-Gon Jinn because for those who don't know, Qui-Gon Jinn was the first. I think we talked. I think I talked about it in my top 10 Jedi list. But Qui-Gon was the first Jedi to learn the power of becoming a Force ghost and achieve like I guess eternal consciousness or something like that. He did like the trial with the seven sisters of the Force. Um, and and we both think it's pretty much guaranteed because in the Clone Wars, Qui-Gon appears to Obi-Wan on Mortis, and for those who don't know, Mortis is like this Force planet, extra dimensional like place
Hmm.
with the father, the son, and the daughter.
It's like where the Force is. It's a conduit for the Force. It's like where all the power of the Force, like, sort of, is at its peak.
Exactly. So that's why Qui-Gon like didn't get far enough into his training with the Seven Sisters to manifest a physical appearance, but he has like a voice. But I think he does have a maybe he can manifest a physical appearance because I know in from a certain point of view of a certain point of view, A New Hope. That's a book written entirely of the. Oh my God, sorry, I'm tripping over all of my words here, but this book is written it takes A New Hope, and it takes every major event in A New Hope, and like written from a different character's perspective. So like the cantina scene is written from a different character's perspective of watching this all go down.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and when Luke leaves after they find the slaughtered Jawas, and he runs home, there's a point of view from Obi-Wan. So when Luke leaves, he's like, I can't do this, and then he hears Qui-Gon say he'll be back or something, like he'll be fine, and he turns around and he's talking to Qui-Gon the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So Qui-Gon it shows up in the book as a Force Ghost, so I think it's almost guaranteed he shows up in this TV show as a Force Ghost.
Well, it's hard to imagine that he wouldn't, because like he did show up in on Mortis as a Force ghost, and the
Mm-hmm.
Force is stronger there. But they've done things like they sort of like retconned what they've said previously. So I wouldn't be surprised if Qui-Gon did show up as like a physical form and a Force ghost, as Obi-Wan has and as Yoda has and as Luke has. But you're speaking about the book from a certain point of view, and Obi-Wan still has to train to become a Force ghost, because we
Exactly.
see him become a Force ghost in The Empire Strikes Back. So one of the things that happened in a certain point of view was we get Palpatine's perspective after the Death Star had blown up, and he gets word of Obi-Wan dying to Vader. And he was in the book, sort of like has this weird dialogue for Palpatine, but basically what it summarized is he was mostly surprised that Obi-Wan had said to Vader, if you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine. Because he was like, what does that mean? I don't know about these. Palpatine doesn't know about these Force ghosts, and he doesn't know that Jedi have the ability to do this. So it sort of scared him and frightened him that Obi-Wan said this to Vader and then just let him kill him, which we still need to see Obi-Wan sort of train to become a Force ghost. So
Yeah, because Yoda said, I can't believe we both completely forgot to mention this, but like Yoda says at the end of Revenge of the Sith, like you have to talk to Qui-Gon
mhm.
to do training. So
Yeah.
that's the biggest key indicator that Qui-Gon's going to show up.
And Liam Neeson has um always talked about how he loves doing Star Wars. Like he did the voice in the Clone Wars, which
Mm-hmm.
was like one scene, and he came back for the Rise of Skywalker. So it's like
Liam
I
is
can't imagine that they would say, "Oh, we only want your voice acting for the Kenobi show." They'd be like, "No, we want you to be in the physical form."
oh yeah, he'll be in physical form. People will lose. I mean, we'll lose our minds. I'll lose my mind.
Well, even more with the physical form, in the Clone Wars, we find out that prior to the Phantom Menace, that Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, before they start off in the Phantom Menace with their storyline, they spent some time on Mandalore, and they're protecting the Duchess Satine, who was Obi-Wan's like only really love interest in the whole Star Wars canon. So, I mean, maybe we could get like a little flashback back to that as well, because you and I both think that this whole show is going to be revolving a lot around Obi-Wan's PTSD and Qui-Gon. He watched Qui-Gon die. He watched the love of his life, Satine, die. He basically watched his Padawan die and become like resurrected as like a monster as Vader. So it's like I wouldn't be surprised if they did a flashback back to Mandalore with Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. It's a bit of a stretch, but I would be super excited to see them like sort of do some sort of de-aging and show them protecting Satine on Mandalore.
Well, yeah, a defining characteristic of Obi-Wan's life is loss. Like everyone he's loved is basically died in front of his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not going to just be like he'll be obviously he's going to like miss Satine as well. So it'd be cool if she showed up.
We've never seen her in live action either, so it
No.
would be cool to see. I mean, I think people have talked about like Kate Blanchett.
Yeah, yeah, she'd be really good. That's a good
She,
fan cast. She
yeah,
hasn't been confirmed, has she?
no. I think they've avoided like talking about at least the bigger names, because Hayden was kept under wraps for he wasn't announced until they made an official
Yeah,
announcement about this show. And
at the shareholders meeting. Yeah.
yeah, and Liam Neeson is obviously going to be in this in some way, so they're keeping him under wraps. But another appearance that I think actually is going to happen in this is Yoda, because Yoda and Obi-Wan are technically like only like the main Jedi who still really are left, but there's a couple Jedi who still survived Order 66. But from the Star Wars movies, Yoda and Obi-Wan are like the two of the head honchos from remaining from the Jedi Council. And Kathleen Kennedy said that this is going to be the rematch of the century. So if Obi-Wan has to go confront Vader, which I can't imagine they'd confront on Tatooine because that puts Luke at too much of a risk. I feel like Obi-Wan has to be in contact with Yoda somehow to be like, I need to leave Tatooine to go confront Vader.
He might. Honestly, on this list of cameos we have, I think Satine is the least likely. But I
I
think
agree.
Yoda is the next. I don't know. I think Yoda is the next least likely. I don't know. I go back and forth between the next character on the list, but because he could go talk to Yoda and be like, "I need to confront Vader again," but I mean, like, he could go ask him that, but like at that point, Yoda's gonna be like, "Why are you here right now? You have a kid to be protecting." It's like, wait, wait, wait.
No,
Anakin's,
well,
oh, okay. The more I'm talking about this, the more I'm kind of seeing what you're saying.
they don't have to. He like Obi-Wan doesn't have to go to Dagobah to speak with him. Like they could like connect through the Force somehow if there's a way to do that, or they could do hologram.
I
They,
don't
like
think,
that.
bro. Have you seen Dagobah? You think Yoda's got a computer in that hut, that little mud hut?
Well, then Yoda's powerful enough to like set like some mind connection between him and Obi-Wan.
Well,
I
we'll
feel
find
like,
out.
I mean, I don't know. Yoda's wise enough and powerful enough to know that if Obi-Wan leaves Luke, I feel like so I feel like if this does happen, it's when they fight, it's not going to happen on Tatooine, and Obi-Wan has to have a good reason to leave Luke
Yeah,
and leave him vulnerable. So I feel like he has to speak to Yoda about it.
yeah. Where do you
And
think the confrontation is going to take place with Yoda or Obi-Wan and Vader? I've been thinking about this recently because I can only imagine it on the Death Star, but I know it's not on the Death Star.
no, it
Do
can't
you
be on the
think
Death
it's
Star.
going to be in the Jedi Temple on Coruscant?
I think so. This is just immediate reactions. What I'm thinking of right now. Coruscant Temple is probably the first one. Second one might be Naboo, and the
Ooh, that's a good one.
Naboo would I think would be because that's the first time they met each other.
Dude,
So
hold up. Before you say this next one, imagine Vader visiting Padme's tomb and Obi-Wan showing up in the back,
it's like the
you pan
same.
over the shoulder, standing like as he does. Dude, I'm getting chills right now talking about this right
Yeah.
now, and him saying it's like, "Look what you've become." Oh my god, bro, I'm getting chills thinking about
What
this
we're
right
saying
now.
with the shot with Obi-Wan is in Revenge of the Sith, there's that amazing shot of Obi-Wan standing on the ship in Mustafar where he's like up the ramp and he's looking down at Anakin. You and I get so emotional looking at that scene because
I
like
know.
it just makes me so sad because I'm like, I know it's about to happen and it pains Obi-Wan so much to do this, and you see how the mighty fall. It's just I know exactly where Obi-Wan's just standing there, like with like his hands
We
on
got
his
to do
hip,
it.
sort
We
of.
got to do a clip out of this for our TikTok page.
We do at the Legionnaire Pod on TikTok. But yeah, I think Naboo would
I
I
think
could see
that's
the
number
Coruscant
one.
Temple. Yeah,
I think after what you said, I think that's number one.
yeah. It'd be or it might be on a completely new location too.
It
But then I
could
think
be.
the third, just out of the locations that we currently know, I think Naboo, Coruscant, Jedi Temple, and then maybe Mustafar again. But I couldn't see that happening.
Mm, yeah, it could because Vader's castle is probably around at this point.
Oh no, it definitely is. But I don't know when that Vader VR game takes place because that's canon as well. So,
Yeah.
but those are
Dude,
the three places I think if they confront one another. But it can't be on Tatooine.
no, I don't think it's on because like
He's too
that would
close to
raise
Luke then.
way too many questions because then he's like, why don't I check out my old home? Oh,
Yeah,
wait, my son is here with my brother-in-law,
yeah.
or
But
not his brother, his
so
stepbrother or half
for
brother.
the we already talked about Luke Skywalker as a cameo in this. So, but who do you think the last cameo would be in the show,
Um,
if
I
any?
I think I strongly believe Ahsoka will make a cameo because I think they're going to be flashbacks to the Clone Wars. Just because, like, Obi-Wan remembering the good times with Anakin, and I think Ahsoka will just show up in one of them. Like, maybe she's in a background shot. I bet she'll have her speaking role because Rosario Dawson is filming the Ahsoka series probably pretty soon here.
Mm-hmm.
So she's around. So I think she'll show up, in which I think it would be cool, like a Clone Wars flashback. We get to see Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor in like Anakin and Obi-Wan's like Clone Wars like armor,
Yeah.
because for those who don't know, in the Clone Wars TV show, Obi-Wan and Anakin have like this sort of like like military Jedi armor that they wear, but we
It's
don't ever see him wear it in the movies. But it'd be pretty cool to see it in live action. There was like something on Reddit floating around of like a drawing or like an artist rendition of Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor in like
mhm.
the armor, and it looked really cool.
It did. Well, in Battlefront 2, like this is just what I call their outfits, but it's called General Skywalker and General Kenobi because of like how militaristic their outfits look. And then once they switch to their robes, it's just called Jedi robes.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I'd be happy to see Ahsoka in it as well. I feel like most of these Disney Plus shows are filming close to the same time. I think this Obi-Wan show is supposed to come out. It's supposed to come out next year, but you and I have said this to each other multiple times. Take as much time as you need. If they
Yeah.
need to take another 10 years on this show to mean it's like a 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10 TV show, I'm fine with that. I'd rather they like this is the one show I do not want them to screw up at all.
Yeah, if I had to wait and see no Star Wars content for the next 5 years just to get a good Obi-Wan show, I would say yes to that. And like
Oh,
some
yeah.
people be like, oh, it was like, it's like Bad Batch is great. All like Mandalorian's good. Like, they're all great, but like if the Obi-Wan show doesn't land, that's gonna
That's gonna
I
sting. That's gonna
that
sting a
was
lot
that's gonna
because
sting, because then I'm gonna be like, well, I don't want to like they screwed up my favorite. They like Obi-Wan's my favorite, like our favorite. I think he's your favorite character as well.
oh
I
yeah.
believe he's our favorite character. So like if you screw that up, I, I okay, but I don't think they're gonna screw it up because Deborah Chow is directing, I think, the entire series, and
Mhm.
she directed episode 3 in season 1 of The Mandalorian and episode 7, which are the two best episodes in my opinion.
Mhm. Of
Or
season
episode
1.
of season 1, yes. I think those are the two best episodes, because in episode 3 of Mando, that's like when Mando goes full like Batman Begins and like steals back Grogu from Dr. Pershing.
Mhm.
Um, and then it's episode 7
Episode
is when
7.
they like they're trying to get Grogu back, and like they give um oh, I'm blanking on his name, the
Carl
Ugnaught,
Weathers.
not no
Oh, Queel.
Queel. They give Queel Grogu, and then he dies. Oh, rip
R.I.P.
Queel.
Yeah, but
Love
that's
his son.
when introduce force healing in that episode as well too.
Yeah, exactly. So this is how it happens.
Oh yeah. Wait, what's his name? Even grief. I just know Carl Weathers.
We just call him Carl Weathers.
But yeah, that's how Carl Weathers died. He didn't die, but
So this is how it happens. This is how the Batman died.
but yeah, I have a lot of confidence in Deborah Chow. I also think isn't Dave's an executive producer for like
Oh,
all the Disney Plus shows, but I think this might be one of the shows that like this
he's
one
a very heavy hand in.
yeah, I think there's two shows that he's gonna have like a major hand in, and one of them you're gonna talk about later. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we're both. It's the Obi-Wan Kenobi show.
It's
Like,
Obi-Wan.
do we even need after we just explained everything? Do we even need to say anything else though
Even
about
like
it?
without explaining anything, how are you not excited for an Obi-Wan show?
Well, yeah, screw you, Dad, because I told him that Vader and Obi-Wan were gonna fight again, and he was like, "They already did that once." And I heard that, and I was like, "Nope, I'm not talking to
No,
you.
listen.
Stop. You don't
Listen,
get
Dad.
it." Yeah,
Listen,
but
Dad.
I don't think he understood that they were gonna be fighting as Darth Vader, Machine, and Obi-Wan, older Jedi, sort of. But
He's gonna be mad. He's gonna text us when he hears it. He's like, "Hey, I didn't
hey,
mean it like that."
but
Love you, Dad.
that's our combined number one favorite show. You have two other ones, and then I have two other ones, which we can just.
Alternate.
I mean, yeah.
Do you want
So,
to go
what is
first? Or...
your? No, I'll let you go first. What is your second most excited show for in Disney Plus for Star
So the
Wars?
show I am second most excited for is actually something like nobody's really talking about. It is the Acolyte. So this show is described as it's at the end of the High Republic era. So for those who don't know, like I'm a huge High Republic fan. Will's halfway through the first book, or a little bit over halfway.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's a really really good book, talking about like so the High Republic takes place, I believe, a few hundred years, 200 years.
It
I think.
ends like 200 years before the Phantom Menace.
Okay, yeah. So this movie takes place around 200 years before the Phantom Menace, and so it involves Jedi we've never seen before besides Yoda. Yoda will probably make an appearance. Um, but it's from the thing that is the most intriguing about this show is it is from the point of view of the bad guys, and what really like because like we've never seen like a Star Wars show from the bad guy's perspective. Every time like a bad guy is involved in the Star Wars, they always turn to the good side, and it
Hmm.
drives me up a wall because it's like, just let the bad guys be bad just once. I understand like Star Wars is for kids. It's like, yeah, but all the kids need to like it. It's like this is the Acolyte. Like this like is of all of the shows announced, this is like the darkest like sounding show. Um, but it's it's bananas that like they're making their like this is a risk show because the High Republic
Hmm.
is something that has not been on screen at all. Nobody knows anything of like nobody like any if you said this to any like general person, like they'd be like, what's the High Republic? Is that like what is that? Is that they wouldn't understand what it is.
Yeah, because well, I was gonna say we got the first High Republic book, but this is our first live action media of the High Republic. So, and it's taking place at the end of it, which I mean is a little goofy that it's taking place at the end of when the High Republic is, but yeah, just to sort of fill in.
Exactly. So in the because it says like the show will focus on the emergence of the dark side powers in the final days of the High Republic era. So this could be taken in multiple different directions. I think the likelihood of cameos, I there's the only cameo of any character that we know is gonna be Yoda. Yoda will. I think Yoda will has a likely possibility of showing up in the show because Yoda's like 900 years old when he dies, so he's alive during the timeline. The character who I think it will, likelihood is it's going to be a character we haven't met yet. Who I wish it is, I hope it's something like Darth Revan or Darth Bane. Darth Revan is Revan has a really interesting story. I don't know Revan's story that well,
I don't
but
either.
it's I know he was a Jedi and then he became a Sith Lord, something or another.
Yeah, he hasn't officially been made canon yet. Darth Bane has been made canon, but
Yes.
we're still sort of waiting on Revan because he was pretty big in Star Wars Legends, and then Disney did like the whole clean slate thing, which again makes sense from a storytelling perspective, makes
Mm.
it easier, and everyone's all angry because like we want Darth Revan, but
It's like he's gonna show up. Calm down.
yeah, I can't imagine that they won't use like a fan favorite, and
Exactly.
yeah, I because you were talking about dark side perspective. It'd be cool because I mean we get sort of a light side switch from the to the dark side with Anakin, but I honestly his is a bit more abrupt, and Revan started out as a Jedi, I think, and he switches to the dark side. So I think it'd be cool if we got to see him in this series sort of do that flip, because I think they could make it more compelling throughout a series and give it more time to like develop. So I because they did sort of they tried making a campaign in Battlefront 2 with starting out as the Empire when the second Death Star blows up and trying to keep the Empire intact, and of course the main character from that campaign switches to the light side. So it's like I want to have someone like actually stay on the dark side.
Yeah, it's it's something that's like it's I don't know. They always do it and it gets annoying, but the other character I think I hope is either a main focus or like a part of the show is Darth Bane. And for those who don't, I feel like we have to get a shirt that says "For those who don't know," because I feel like we say that all the time.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, Darth Bane is the creator of the Rule of Two. And if you don't know what the Rule of Two is, so in Legends, I read there's the Darth Bane trilogy, and so the Sith were at war with the Jedi, but the Sith could never get the upper hand on the Jedi because they were always like concerned with power and killing them. Like they're fighting each other for their own power. So like they were never strong enough to fight the Jedi because they were always fighting amongst themselves. So Darth Bane was like, we only need like there should only be two Sith. There should be a master and apprentice. A master to like teach the power and like get like have the power, and for an apprentice to crave that power. So Darth Bane, like he makes this Sith bomb and he kills all of the Sith. and then it's just him. He is the only Sith Lord in the galaxy, and he finds an apprentice and he trains her, yada yada yada. And I think she kills him at the end. I can't remember. I read it a very long time ago. Um, I really hope he makes an appearance because he's a very, very, very important character in the Star Wars canon. I
Mm-hmm.
think if done right, he could be a great addition. Likelihood is I think it's going to be a character we haven't seen before, but I really hope it's Darth Bane. Did you read the Darth Bane books?
I did not. I haven't read a lot of things that are legends, but
I haven't either. I read a few. I guess I read a few back in like elementary school because they had like the legend. They like Star Wars books, and I read them.
for
But
those who don't know, Legends is everything prior to Disney buying Star Wars, and they're all officially listed as Legends now when you buy it, which means it's not taking place in the Star Wars canon. And by Star Wars canon, we mean this current Star Wars timeline. So, like if something is says Legends, doesn't it's not actually in the current Star Wars like episode 1 through 9. It doesn't
mhm.
fit at all in that. So, when Cal's referring to the Darth Bane trilogy being Legends, it's not official in this new Disney Star Wars that is being made right now. But
Yeah.
so that
So
was your number one or second show that you're most excited for. My
what was
second show
yours?
that I'm most excited for, you sort of mentioned it earlier, but I am really, really, really excited for Star Wars Visions, which you mentioned how Star Wars Visions is similar to Galaxy of Adventures on the YouTube Kids channel for Star Wars, and it's basically, from what I know about the show, they haven't talked much about it, but it's going to be 10 anime short films made by Japanese anime studios. And the sort of animation style that is for Galaxy of Adventures is like very anime esque. And I don't watch a whole lot of anime. I mean, if you want to say Invincible is anime, then you can say that. I watch cartoons, but the art style that they do for the Galaxy of Adventures, if you haven't watched it, just go to YouTube and type in Galaxy of Adventures Obi-Wan Kenobi,
Best
because
one.
it's the best one. And just it's 2D art animation style, but the way that they do it, the characters just look so great. And I love the 3D animation that they have for it, but I just love the fact that it's 2D, because 2D animation, if it's at its prime, you can't beat it. And I think the fact that they're like using Japanese, they're sort of like outsourcing to Japanese anime studios to have them do this, makes me really, really excited. But the 10 anime short films are also anthology stories, which means they're like sort of their own thing. So I don't know exactly what their stories are going to be, because they're called short films. So I don't, is it going to be like 10 minutes? Is it going to be 20 minutes? Or I don't know, which it just makes me really excited, because I love the Galaxy of Adventures just because it makes me feel like a kid, and I love the art style that they use for it. So when I saw that they're making like 10 anime short films for Star Wars, I was I was incredibly excited, to say the least.
It says it's supposed to come out on Disney, according to Wikipedia. So
Comes out this year.
it's supposed to come out this year, and we haven't heard anything about it yet. So
Well, so with that's what makes it nice, because of COVID, it's more difficult to sort of film. They have to sort of jump through different hoops, but with it being anime, it's kind of easier because you can do it from home. You just have to hand draw out. I'm assuming that this is two-dimensional anime, so you just have to like draw out the pictures and then animate them from there. So I do see this show coming out later this year, sort of, but I don't exactly know when. I do think it'll be prior to when the Book of Boba Fett comes out in December, and prior to if season 3 of Mando comes out this December as well,
I
or
think Mando's
October.
coming out next year.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about it. There hasn't been any confirmation if they started filming. They may have, because they didn't really confirm when season 2 started filming, so I don't know, but I'm really, really excited for Star Wars Visions, and it comes out this year, so I wouldn't be surprised if it came out shortly after the Bad Batch ended.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. I'm excited for that too. Visions is really cool.
You and I both love the Galaxy of Adventures animation.
Yeah. People like
There's
don't sleep on that. Like people are like, oh, it's Star Wars for kids. It's like, dude, like it's really really cool.
Yeah. There's like the two best ones. It's like the Obi-Wan Kenobi one and the light side versus the dark side one.
Mm-hmm.
Those two are just, and there's so many other great ones. They did a whole Empire Strikes Back 40th
That one
anniversary.
was.
They did like all the main events, and there was like 4 or 5 minute like,
Mm-hmm.
and then they condensed it all into one, and it was maybe 10-15 minutes long, and it was great.
Darth Vader is like straight up terrifying.
Oh,
Like
because
he
yeah,
is like actually like terrifying in these. Like you're like this dude's scary.
because he's so big, and like they make his shoulders broader, and like they make him look more menacing, which is great because I mean with anime you can sort of what's the word I want to say?
Exaggerate features.
Yeah, you can sort of exaggerate them a little bit to make them look more like menacing or more heroic in different ways that you can't do with live action. So I'm super super hyped to see it.
Yeah. Okay. So sounds like you're done.
I am.
All right. Yeah. So my third most anticipated show is the Ahsoka show. Um. Now I say this, and I'm also a little hesitant to say it because I like Ahsoka. You and I love Ahsoka. I like, but I like her role in the Clone Wars, but I don't like Rebels.
Mm-hmm.
And from what it sounds like is that this show, it's not like I don't like. It's just I'm not a fan of Rebels. It's not something I watch. I would choose to watch at all.
Yeah.
But it sounds like the show is a continuation of Rebels, and at the end of Rebels, the main character Ezra like goes like gets sucked into the unknown regions with Grand Admiral Thrawn on space whales. I don't understand why.
Yeah,
I, yeah.
yeah, these space whales can travel at light speed, and they take them in a star destroyer with Thrawn.
Yeah, it doesn't. I'm. I don't understand the space whales thing.
Yeah.
I have to do some research onto that. It sounds really dumb.
But they are in the unknown regions, which they've talked about in the sequel trilogy.
Okay. Yeah, so they're out there. So, but I'm really excited. So I said the name, but I am beyond excited to see live action Grand Admiral Thrawn. And we
Mm-hmm.
get a reference to his name in The Mandalorian when Ahsoka's fighting Morgan. What's her name? The chick in the episode of Mandalorian, like they have the on the forest planet of
Oh, the magistrate.
yeah, the magistrate. Yeah. So she's fighting the magistrate. Where's your master? Where's Grand Admiral Thrawn? And I just lost my mind when and everybody
Mm-hmm.
was watching it with. They're like, "Who's that?" I'm like, "This dude is so cool." I've read the
No,
first
we
two
watched that
books.
one together.
Oh, we did watch that one
That
together.
was at Thanksgiving
That's
because we
right.
didn't know who. Because we were like, "Where is your master?" And we were like, "Who is this
Who is
person's master?" We didn't know who they were talking about. And then she finally said, "Where is Grand Admiral Thrawn?" You and I are both like, "What?"
Yeah, because I watched it again with my roommates. Like, who's that? I'm like, oh,
You guys are
but
dumb.
dumb. You don't understand. But um, yeah, Grand Admiral Thrawn is you haven't seen him in live action. He was a huge character in Star Wars Legends, like in the like in Star Wars Legends, like in the movie or the books that came out after Return of the Jedi. Grand Admiral Thrawn was like the main antagonist. He's like a brilliant like military tactician. He's like he's like blue skinned dude, red eyes. He's from the Chiss Ascendancy, which is a planet from the unknown regions. Um, I read the first two books in his trilogy. I did not read the third one. I just don't know why. I really like the first two. He's a brilliant dude, and his reason for joining the Empire is really interesting because like he joins to like strength. He tried to join the no, he didn't join the Republic because they were at war with the Separatists, but then he joins the Empire to like strengthen ties and like in case of his people need like an ally, the Empire will be there. But like his main goal is to like be with his people,
Mm-hmm.
like of the Chiss. So I think Grand Admiral Thrawn is a lock for this show. He has to show up. I'm really excited to see him.
Well, it's not even a question because if she's looking for the
Ezra.
magistrate's master, Grand Admiral Thrawn, it's like it's not even a question then.
Yeah. and I think because like people are like who's gonna be cast as Grand Admiral Thrawn. We're sorry, this Ahsoka show. Like I'm excited for this Ahsoka show mainly because of Grand Admiral Thrawn, but I think
Ahsoka's already had so much great character development where it's like you can do more, but it's not really going to affect how I feel about her. Like you can
exactly
do more that it's not going to affect. It's not going to make me think any less of her. You can do that'll. You can do more that'll make me think more of her, but there's so much that's happened with her in the Clone Wars that like
you can
it's
ignore
not going to
stuff
make me.
that you don't like. Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, so people are wondering who's going to be cast as Grand Admiral Thrawn. A lot of people like Benedict. Like, I swear to God, anytime like any movie villain is announced, everybody like fan casts Benedict Cumberbatch as a villain. They're like,
yeah.
it's going to be Benedict Cumberbatch. It's like, okay, to be fair, he would play a great Thrawn because he did a really good job as Sherlock, and Sherlock and like Thrawn and Sherlock are like cut from the same cloth.
Not even Sherlock. Khan.
Khan.
Yeah, I was waiting to see if you knew. Yeah,
Khan Noonien Singh.
But Benedict Cumberbatch confirmed that he had no interest in playing Thrawn.
Oh, well,
he had said he's like I don't. He said something how he was already focused on doing the Marvel movies as Doctor Strange, and he had no interest in covering himself in blue makeup.
Well, that's very egotistical of you, Benedict. If I am being frank. But regardless, you missed out on one of the roles of a life. Dude, who turns down a role in Star Wars?
I don't think he was offered the role, but I think people had said to him. Now he may be lying, but
who's not interested to be? I don't. That just blows my mind.
Yeah.
Whatever. Listen, not everybody's as smart as you and I. But
who do you want to play Thrawn?
I think. Who do I want to play Thrawn? I think Michael Fassbender would be a very, very cool Thrawn.
He would be.
I don't think they're going to cast him because people are. I want him to show up in the MCU as Magneto, which I don't think they'll do, but they should. But I think they're going to cast Lars Mikkelsen, who's Mads Mikkelsen's brother. Lars Mikkelsen voices him in Rebels. So, excuse me. I think he'll probably because they might not because they didn't cast Ashley Eckstein as Ahsoka. Ashley Eckstein is the voice actress for Ahsoka
Tano.
Ahsoka Tano in the Clone Wars and Rebels. I think Lars Mikkelsen, he looks like he could be Thrawn, but I think my personal favorite, I think Michael Fassbender would be a very good Thrawn.
Yeah.
But otherwise, there are other characters who are going to show up. Obviously, Ezra's going to show up. Probably Hera and whoever else. Bo-Katan might show up.
Yeah, so Mandalorian's Bo-Katan. I don't think she's like the main Mandalorian who show up. I think another character from Rebels, Sabine Wren, will probably show up. And she had like colorful Mando armor, and I think she had some like colorful hair too.
Yeah.
But you and I weren't the biggest Rebels fans, but Rebels had ended where Ahsoka and Sabine were like Ezra's out there, and we gotta find him. So, and Rebels ended like a year or two after, a year or two after the second Death Star blew up. So, and Mando season 2 took place 6 years after the second Death Star blew up. So, it'll fit in the timeline.
Yeah, sorry, Rebels fans, we're not like really like up to date. Like
it has its moments. Story. You guys have your moments with Twilight of the Apprentice and I don't know what the episode is where Obi-Wan fights Maul.
Something Twin
Sons, and then The World Between Worlds.
That's a really cool. We'll talk about The World Between Worlds at some point. That's a really cool concept.
It is. It's
dangerous.
It's a dangerous concept, but the way that they did it was very well.
Yes.
And then Kanan is pretty goated. So.
I forgot to put him in my top 10 Jedi list.
Yeah, I didn't have him in there either. So.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Caleb. Master.
Dune.
Is it Dune or Doom?
Dune.
Okay, regard. Master. Reinforcements are on the way.
I saw an audio dub where someone like it's not just us who think this. Someone on YouTube like redid his voice to make it sound like a kid because they were like, yeah, his voice should not be this low as a 10-year-old.
Thank God. Yeah, because I saw another podcast. People were like, his voice threw me off. I'm like, thank God it wasn't just us.
Yeah. But
so you're is my number 3 because of what's wrong.
You're excited for Ahsoka, mostly for Thrawn. I'm excited for Ahsoka because I I'm not going to complain about seeing more Ahsoka, and I am excited to see Thrawn as well. But it's also a limited series as well, which makes me happy because with their limited series, like they're not gonna just drag it on for multiple seasons, because that's one of my fears with some of these main characters in Star Wars, because the Obi-Wan show, like, it does not need to be more than one season long,
No,
because sometimes too
less
much
is
of
more.
some yeah, less is more. Too much of something can be like not a good thing. So especially with Ahsoka, I'd said they've already done so much for her that like can't make me think less of her. I also don't want to be just worn out of her though as well,
Exactly.
because
Yeah.
I they can make 10 seasons of the Ahsoka show and I'll still love her from the Clone Wars, but like there'll come a point where I'm just worn out of Ahsoka. So limited series I think is a smart move for that show as well. But that was your third show that you're most excited for. Mine is the Andor show. It's a
Wow.
bit of a bold pick,
Not
but
really. Not really.
well,
I think
you
from the list,
know,
it's a solid pick.
how much there's one thing in Rogue One that I love more than anything else.
It's like, I mean, it's cool. Like, it's really cool. It's a really cool concept, but like, you like the the level of which you love this thing, which we're about to reveal, like, is just like it's. You are the
It's
only person like I've ever met
I
that
know
like
there's one
loves this
person
thing.
out there. There's one person out there who's going to agree with me on this, but
Who is it?
I don't know, but there's
Oh,
someone out there who agrees with me, but
I mean, it's cool. It's a cool concept, but like you're just like we should just say what it is right now.
I really hope we get to see more of the Ring of Caffrine.
God.
For those
So
of you
for
who
those who
don't,
don't
yeah,
know,
for those of you who don't know what the Ring of Caffrine is, in Rogue One, the first time we meet Cassian Andor is on the Ring of Caffrine, and it's the city that's sort of being held together by two asteroids that like has gravity wells on like both sides of it, so people can stand on like one part of the asteroid and then the other part of the asteroid. I just think it was so cool because when I first saw the Rogue One movie, I saw the Ring of Catherine. I was like, that's stupid. That can't be in Star Wars. And then I thought about it. And I was like, wait a second. Why can't that be in Star Wars? That's like one of the most creative things I've seen for a planet slash trade, because it's a trading outpost. But I was like, that's such a cool concept. And uh, I just love it so much. I don't know why, but there's something about the Ring of Catherine that I love. And I really, really, really hope we get to see more of it in this show.
yeah, I said I texted you like a few months ago. I was watching Rogue One, and you're like, I'm like, yeah, I'm watching Rogue One. Well, and you're just like, I really love the Ring of Caffrine.
Dude, there's something about it. The music that plays with it too, while like they cut to it.
Da 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 da.
Yeah, it's like da 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 da. I huge fan of it, but outside of just the Ring of Caffrine, we were supposed to get K2SO in the first season, but Alan Tudyk, the actor who did the mocap for him and the voice, confirmed that he was not going to be in season one. So it leads me to believe that there might be a season two. It hasn't been confirmed, but
I bet there was.
I think this is a show that they could make a couple seasons out of it, because I mean, like, Andor, he didn't get all of the character development in Rogue One, but there's stuff that they can do with him where they can make it multiple seasons, because there's so little that we know about him, and the time period that it's taking place in, I feel like, is one of the lesser developed storylines.
Yeah,
So it's cool because in Rogue One we see him turn from sort of a hard rebel into like a lenient, realizing that the rebellion isn't all what it's said to be. Like, you do some pretty dark things for the rebellion. So this show is taking place before that, because we see him die in Rogue One. So I think we're going to see more of hardened Cassian Andor, and sort of see like the difficult decisions that he makes and the sacrifices that he makes for the rebellion, which I think is going to be really cool. And I think they can do a lot of development in more than
mm,
just one season. I think season one is 13 episodes, maybe.
yeah, sounds about right.
I think it was
I have
13.
no clue. It just sounds like a good number to me.
No, yeah, but I mean, there's so much that they can do with this timeline, because the actress who played Mon Mothma is confirmed for this as well. She was actually confirmed. So I am really hoping we get to see more of the rebellion forming, because we sort of get like mentions of it with Saw Gerrera in the Bad Batch, where he's like, something's forming, something new, and he's telling Hunter to join them. But with Mon Mothma, she left the Galactic Senate to form the rebellion. So I mean, there's stuff that you can do with her character that you can still like provide a little character development.
Do you think we'll see her in the Senate?
I honestly think we might. I don't know exactly when this show is taking place, but there's a lot of things that they can do for it. Um, she's already confirmed, and I mentioned how Saw Gerrera talked about the rebellion forming in the Bad Batch. I think he'll probably show up in this show as well, because again, in Rogue One, they sort of have this weird tension between the rebellion and Saw Gerrera's extremist group that he has on Jeddah.
Were you about to say Extremis, like from Iron Man 3?
Yeah. Whoops. I can't. I'm having a hard time right now speaking.
Yeah.
But I do think we'll see Saw Gerrera. Another character that I really hope we get to see, fingers crossed, is Director Krennic. I really think that his name's Ben Mendelsohn, right? Yeah, the actor who played him.
Yeah.
He
Big Benny.
he's a phenomenal actor. He was great in the show Bloodline. I loved him. Danny
Nobody's
Rayburn.
seen Blood. Like, everybody I talked to has not seen Bloodline.
I highly recommend you watch Bloodline. The first season is fantastic. The next two are kind of dragged out, but I still love them.
Mainly turns into one of the brothers becoming addicted to coke and an alcoholic, screwing things up for the family.
But Ben Mendelsohn is in that show, and he plays sort of like the antagonist of the series. But I really, really hope that we get to see sort of him play the antagonist as well in the Andor series, because he's a great actor, and I feel like it'd kind of be wasted on him not having more of a role, because he could, if he did not play Director Krennic, I could see him playing Thrawn.
Oh yeah.
So that's, I could see him
could.
doing it, because he has that intensity, and he has sort of like that cold calculatedness that he's done before, which I think could make him really good. So I I just don't want him to be wasted. I really hope that he shows up in this series. I don't really know like who the main antagonist of the show is going to be, besides of course the Empire.
Yeah.
But then the last person who I really, really, really hope appears in this show, Bail Organa.
Oh, Jimmy Smits.
Dude, Bail Organa he's a legend.
He's a legend to you and I.
We just have this weird obsession with Bail.
Like, minor, like, weird, like, minor characters, like, people have obsessions with. Like, everybody's like Dexter Jetster from Attack of the Clones. They're like, oh, Dexter. And you and I are like, screw that. I want to hear more about Bail.
I mean, I didn't know. Maybe I knew, but I don't think I knew that he was going to show up in Rogue One. So I saw him and I was like, "That's Bail Organa. I love him." And when he goes to the Jedi Temple, in Revenge of the Sith, and he's like, "What's going on here? There's been a rebellion, sir. Don't worry, the situation's under control. I'm sorry, sir. It's time for you to leave."
And so it is.
Oh, I love Bail, and he has adopted Leia at this point. So there's like some stuff that they could do with her. Leia may be like fairly older. She might be like 10 years old, maybe, if this show takes place 10 years later.
Little minor cameo.
Yeah, she could show up as well in it, but we could even see Bail's wife. I mean, we never see anything with her, so
yeah,
she dies on Alderaan.
she gets blown to smithereens.
Yeah, she gets blown to Smiths. Jimmy Smits.
What do you
But
think is gonna happen in the end? Like, what do you think? Like, what
the end goal is?
Season... Yeah, like, because Obi-Wan, we know that in Obi-Wan we know he's gonna fight Vader at some point. In Ahsoka,
it's building up towards that. Yeah.
And we know in Ahsoka that Ahsoka's got to find Ezra and Thrawn. Visions, it's a little different because like we don't really know. There's not a whole lot known about the project.
Yeah.
And Acolyte, we don't really. There's not a whole lot known about the project because there's not like a whole lot of existing material supporting it. But Andor has a lot of supporting material that can be used for it, with like Rogue One and like A New Hope, and Revenge of the Sith. So like, what do you think the end goal is for Andor?
That's what I don't know because I there's a lot of minor things that they can do, but I feel like one of the last things that they can do is sort of find out that information about the Death Star being formed,
Mm-hmm.
where it picks up at the Ring of Caffrine where he's meeting with the informant who knows about the planet killer. I feel like that's a way it could end because then
Mm-hmm.
it leads directly right into his character into Rogue One,
Yeah.
which I feel like would be like one of the most logical and easiest things to do just from a storytelling perspective. I don't really know though because we still have to see him reprogram K2SO, and I mean it's 13 episodes at least for the first season, so I mean we can see him make these hard difficult decisions. I don't remember who that other guy was that worked with Mon Mothma who had told him.
General. Oh! This is gonna drive me up a wall. The guy that we know the guy. He's like you don't. If you see Galen or so, don't capture him,
Yeah,
kill him.
yeah, he was the guy in Rogue One who had confirmed. He had said to Cassian, he said, if you find Galen or so, kill him, because they had been talking about bringing Galen back in Rogue One, bringing him back to the rebellion, and testifying to them about this planet killer. But this guy had given Andor separate orders.
General Draven.
Draven, yep. Yeah, because I remember saying that General Draven's already sent
Mm-hmm.
like a bombing squadron into Edu. So, but I think he'll probably show up in the show as well, actually, because I mean, again, him, Mon Mothma, Bale, like you even Saw Gerrera, like we see them at this point in the timeline. So I mean, there's stuff to do. And in one of the trailers for Rogue One, we Saw Gerrera bald, but then in Rogue One we see him with hair. So it was a reshoot.
Yeah, that movie got really reshot.
Yeah,
Like
I
that's another one of those like release the
Gareth
um
Edwards cut.
yeah, release the Edwards cut, but
Yeah, because I mean, even in that movie, Krennic was supposed to be on the beach with Jin and
Vader was supposed to
Cassian.
be on the beach too. This is dude, we have so many episodes we can do. I think talking about what was like originally supposed to happen in Rogue One would be very interesting because Vader was also supposed to I think Vader was supposed to kill a majority of that squad.
We'll have to save that for a different time because we've been talking now for an hour and 40 minutes. But Andor is the show that I am most excited. The third most show I'm excited for.
Well, that's I don't know. I had a lot of fun with this podcast. I really enjoyed this one. I think honestly this is my favorite
You
podcast
and
that we
I
record.
can talk about Star Wars forever, and
Yeah.
we could talk about Obi-Wan forever.
Yeah. Dude, you know what I was just thinking and like when we were talking about like cameos, we were talking about the Senate. Do you think she's going to show up in Obi-Wan?
It's it's possible. They've had Ian McDermott show up so many times. If Hayden is showing up in this show, that now that I think about it, he
He,
probably is talking with Palpatine as well.
exactly. Like do you think like cuz like the show isn't only do you think the show will only we're going back to Obi-Wan, sorry. We're like we said we wanted to be done talking but like I still need like I still these are running through my head. So do you think like it'll just be from Obi-Wan's point of view or do you think it's going to flip?
I think it'll do sort of like yin and yang sort of thing with
Mhm.
Obi-Wan seeing the light side and then we flip to Anakin because I mean, there's sort of two that is one at this point in the
Yeah.
series. Because I mean, once the original trilogy picks up, we follow Luke predominantly, but I mean, this is still like sort of that mix between prequel and original trilogy. It's becoming more original trilogy content, but you could get that cool like sort of yin and yang sort of thing with Anakin having flashbacks towards Padme, and you could have Obi-Wan having flashbacks towards
The
his time in
Clone
the Clone
Wars.
Wars.
And Obi-Wan meeting with Qui-Gon and then Anakin meeting with Palpatine.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised actually if Ian McDermott did show up because I mean we don't see him in A New Hope. They only mention him, but I mean, in Empire Strikes Back, he gives them the hologram call, so it's possible. There's a
Regardless,
lot of potential.
yeah. I had to throw that out before we ended this because I like just dawned on me while we were talking about the Senate and stuff. I'm like,
Yeah,
Palpatine has to like have some
yeah.
sort of a role in this.
It'd be well. So same with the Yoda thing, where it'd be crazy to think that Obi-Wan would leave Tatooine without saying something to Yoda, and it'd be crazy for Anakin to for Vader to fight Obi-Wan or know of Obi-Wan's existence and not say something to Palpatine.
Yeah.
So who
Yeah.
knows?
Well, at this point in the show, we're hoping to do Q&A, one or two Q&A, but nobody sent us anything yet.
Not yet, but they are
So,
listening, which is always nice to see.
yeah, even if you don't have questions, just keep listening.
Yeah.
But where can they reach us, Will? Where can they send us emails, find us on social media?
You can email us. Our email is legionnairepodcast@gmail.com. And our Instagram and TikTok is Legionnaire Pod. You spell Legionnaire Legionnnaire. And if you have any questions or if you want to see what we post on social media, give us a follow. We do appreciate the people who are listening. It means a lot to us. Cal and I would not be doing this without you. We have a very, very we care a lot about this stuff. We have a burning passion for these things, and we'd love to talk about it.
Yeah,
So
we'd love to talk to you about it too. So
we love that you guys are listening. It means a lot to us. I'm always looking every day on Anchor to see. I always refresh the page to see if a new person is listening, and I always get super excited to see it. So it means a lot to us.
He texted me at one point during the day. He's like, "Dude, we have a listener from Portugal."
Yeah, it makes me really like emotional and happy just to see that like people actually care about it. So thank you. If you did enjoy it, please share it with someone that you think would like it as well. And
download, subscribe.
Yeah, follow us on Spotify, The Legionnaire.
Yeah. And
We will see you next week.
We are Legion.